Next, we'll be having our main event, our speaker today, who's been a core member of Winner's Circle 2 for many years. He has a background in professional education and has taught school at many different levels here, especially here and on the mainland, I believe in Texas. He has a YouTube channel going on that talks about Hawaii that he's been making for a while too, and I believe that's been catching on a little bit, yeah? And he's also a very talented multimedia guy. He always has been doing all of our Excel and other slide presentation type of things, and does the camera work for us and puts the photographs for the club's Facebook page every meeting. So I would like to giving an 8 to 10 minute speech on, I believe it's ghost hunting. Ghost hunting. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much.
Hello. Good morning, Toastmasters. Who here would like to find out if there's something after death? Who's with me? Okay, what do I have to do? Well, ghost hunting is a little bit like that. It's really, at the root, is there an afterlife or not? Because many people believe that there's an afterlife, and that's what a lot of religions are based on, and stuff like this. And there are a growing people that don't believe. Dead, gone, lights out, nothing after. Just kind of disappointing or boring, a little scary. Well, many people think that as well. So when it comes to, is there an afterlife? That's the main question. But we don't really ask that question. It's more like, oh, do ghosts exist? Because isn't that what that is? If there's no such, if there's a proof, if there's $1 million prize out there from Skeptical magazine or something, $1 million prize, it's still open. It's been there for a long time for proof of ghosts. I mean, I would like to see that, and I've seen a lot of shows. And I thought to myself, well, aren't haunted places something to draw the curiosity and make? And so it began. In America, we have this thing called urban exploring, where people would take a camera, mostly in the mainland in the US. They would take their camera and walk around and explore abandoned buildings. So you find an abandoned building in one of these big cities, and you go around with your camera, and this is the abandoned building, and all of this. Now these things turned into haunted videos, because here's an abandoned building, what's that sound? What's over there? What was that? I heard a voice. And so then it becomes the haunted urban explorer stuff, and these things are big on YouTube. And then it just went full bore into, let's go find the most haunted place you can find in America and check it out. How many people heard of a haunted place locally? One, two, yeah, two.
Maui.
Maui, yeah. Or little stories, and that's the draw. I remember Disneyland. It was always the Haunted Mansion until Pirates of the Caribbean. Because they had Ghost 2 and Pirates of the Caribbean. But it was such an attraction. So what draws us to this? Maybe it's the search. But what if you actually went to look for haunted stuff in a haunted place? Because a haunted place has a backstory, so you're already prepped to go. Now I named my speech an honest hunt. An honest ghost hunt. Or you could say paranormal investigation if you want to get fancy, but it's an honest, because I mean, people fake stuff. Whether it's for whatever reason. But if there's actual evidence or something that you really can't explain and you have it on camera, then you got something, right? So I have brought today some of the tools that we might do, find ghosts with, use, and it's not really science, okay? I just gotta prep you. There's science, and then there's stuff on the side, There's science, and then there's that. But what's more better proof than an actual camera, right? Camera talks 1,000 words, picture 1,000 words and all that. So if I turned on a camera, hey, and I was pointing the camera and recording things, right? And I recorded stuff, and what happens is, I have to do this. And I recorded stuff, then I can show it back to you. But is that really that much of a proof? When photography was first invented, 1800s, they took a lot of photographs, but then they found out that there was residual on the glass plates, the negatives, and it turned into double exposures. And then someone said, you know, I could use this double exposure and make money. And they did. So your dearly departed person, there's a picture of them over your shoulder comforting you, and they were making money off of this. This is when double exposures, this is the 1800s. Then out of that, spiritualism, and they have the seances and the table tippings and all this. That became huge, and it made a lot of money. Then Harry Houdini came in and said, no. But nowadays, they go to these most haunted places, they make giant television shows that make a lot of money. The YouTube channels that do this make a lot of money. So what's real and what's not as far as these para-science things? This here is a little app called Ghost Talker. Now it's free. Now on the app is a bunch of words. Now the theory is you turn this thing on, which I'll do here, tap it. I turn it on, and then it will start detecting. So if there's movement,
air, grandmother,
it'll do something.
lady,
If there's what is it?
Deborah, tone,
Okay, we'll have to put you on pause. If there's electromagnetic, it'll detect something. And so the theory is the ghost comes in here and picks a word to tell you, and it pops up here. It's this list of words. So it's just said air, grandmother, lady, baby, planes, permission. Oh, come on. The ghost comes in here and picks a word. But mind you, on this app is a whole set of words that are already there that pop up at random. And I might be just reading into it.
appear,
So I'm going to, instead of holding this, I'm going to put this down.
trouble,
Shh. So I'm not moving it. Another tool. This is the cat ball. Now the cat ball is a toy that a cat plays with. It hits it and it lights up. You turn it on, and then if the cat hits the ball, it does a little jangly thing, and the cat goes, oh, and paws on it some more, and it's like happy cat. So it needs a little shake, and it does this little jangle. But what if I was just to set it here and not do anything, and it goes off? Did the ghost touch it? That's the cat ball. Put these here to let them run while we go. Now, before I dispute all of these, there's the old-fashioned style of ghost hunting where they go to the room or the haunted house and they'll just call out. They'll say, is anybody here? And they'll listen. Sort of old school ghost hunting. That, I think, is a pretty good method, because if there's a voice or if there's a sound, you know, is it a mouse? Is it the building crumbling? Is it the leaky pipes or whatever? Or is it something unexplainable? So there's something to that. But they one-upped it with the digital recorder. Now, a digital recorder can record a little bit outside of human span of hearing. But here's the phenomenon called electro voice phenomenon. a voice recorded, but I didn't hear it. So the method is you turn on the recorder. This one happens to be broken because all my electronic things go broken. You turn on the recorder and start recording. Then you ask these spirits if a question. Hello. And then you record. You play back the recording, and sometimes you hear a voice. That's the phenomenon. But I've done that one time. I've done that to some of my friend's house. I was at my friend's house, and we're like, oh, come on, is this really for real? And we're trying it out. We're in the kitchen, and there was a frying pan, and I said, what's your name? And I held it to the frying pan because, I don't know. I played it back, and you hear, what's my name? And you hear this frying, and then it says Baseloff. I'm like, did you hear that? And so I started to save recordings like that. So what do we have? The last one, well, this is not the last one, but this is the flashlight. Just a regular flashlight. You unscrew the back until it's just a bit. It might go on just a touch, and it goes off. So the thing is, it barely has a connection. It barely has a connection, and it's tough to do so. It's some flashlights are better at it. So if it goes off, now is that the ghost coming up and touching it? I don't know. And of course, we cannot, forget our the proximity meter, which has this little. And it's supposed to work, but I think there it is. It detects anything close, just like a motion detector. So this one detects electromagnetic frequency. So if there was a oscillating fan that was on, this would be going nuts. But are ghosts out there giving off electricity or magnetic fields? So here we have all these little tools. Are they proof, or is it something? But I will conclude that ghosts are around, and they have been recorded as I think the best proof we have going on is the ghost story itself. Ghost stories have been back. Actually, Dr. Finkel from the British Museum, go back to Mesopotamia, 4000 BC, and there's ghost stories. They back then, they were just average, like cockroaches. Ghosts, ghosts exist. They're everywhere. Yeah. So, you got a problem with ghosts? Oh, here's an amulet. It was a given that ghosts. Now we're sort of losing our faith in that afterlife, and we need to find out: is there life after death, and are there ghosts? And I hope you don't hear those little noises in the night. Ghosts. Okay.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Evaluation 2 minutes.
Unless we want to do question and answer,
That would be great.
because we got a little time.
That would be great.
Any question, answer, or story, or anything? Yeah.
What's the most convincing experience that you had that you were in the presence of a ghost?
Oh, okay. I have two, right?
What's the one that's the most?
Okay. Yeah, there's the Pearl Harbor one, which was very freaky during the day. And by the way, it doesn't have to be at night. But the most convincing one, I was in Montana, and there's a gold town which is abandoned. People lived up to it to 1970, actually, this person lived. But all the buildings there are from 1860 or 1877, even its latest one. It was a gold town. It boomed from they discovered gold in a creek. A sheriff came in, like right after it became Boomtown. Sheriff came in, Henry Plummer. They hanged him and his deputies without a trial because it was control of that thing, I imagine. So they hanged the sheriff without a trial and his deputies on his own gallows. Now, at the time, they were building a hotel it's now called the Mead Hotel. It was a carriage stop. It was a 2-story red brick building. But at the time, it was just a foundation with some poles. And in the winter of 1862, I think it was, 1862, it was blizzardy, they couldn't dig into the ground, so after they hung the sheriff, they put his body on these, on the slab of where that hotel was for the winter until they could dig a hole. Now here comes me. I'm in this little town called Dillon, and we went to this place called Bannock. And my friend says, there's hotel. Now it's a 2-story brick building, 1877. The Mead Hotel. It's a haunted hotel. And I had my little camera. I had my camera going out. I was like, yeah. And I was looking at it, dude, like this. This is the 20-story, it had 20-foot ceilings and all this, right? And I was looking through my video camera, big room. They said it was haunted by a little girl in a blue dress. And I'm like, yeah, right. But I'm looking like this. This is 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Big room, nothing in there. Those 2 guys are professors in there. Yeah, get away. Now I'm looking like this to the defense. Look at this. In the middle of the room. Then over this shoulder, it was like a man was standing there speaking calmly. Can you help me out? Just like, just what I heard right over here. And I went and I looked like this, and there's nobody there. In the middle of the day, lights on, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's like you're standing in an empty room. I'm like, what was that? And those guys are there. Did you hear that? And then I ran towards them and said, did you hear that? And they were oblivious. Blah, 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 blah. Coffee. So I'm like, oh my God, how can I tell anybody about that? It'll think I'm nuts. So, I got it on recording. We talked about it. I recorded it. So I go play it back. You see me doing this. Then down to my feet. You see my feet. And you hear me say, did you hear that? And you see my feet. Did you hear that? And then there's no, can you help me out? It didn't record like an EVP, but it was so right there. It was like, it's pretty quiet. And if I was just calmly to talk, it was about, can you help me out? Right over my right ear. To this day, I just can't explain that. Does it make me believe in ghosts? It should, but it kind of isn't proof. Anybody else have a good one? Yeah.
When I lived on Maui, it was temporary. My husband had an internship, and we rented a house in a little area called Sprecklesville, which is near Paia. And we shared it with another doctor and his family because we were all doing the same thing at the time. And I was newly pregnant. And do you remember Watergate, the Watergate scandal? Okay,
Sure.
So everybody, this is like seven other people, were watching Watergate on TV like it was a sitcom. Why nobody took it very seriously. It's like, look what's happening in Washington, wherever that is. Anyway, they were all watching Watergate, but I was pregnant and newly pregnant, so I was kind of like tired and wheezy and so I went to another room downstairs that had lovely windows open to the outside. It was very peaceful. Laid down on the couch and got bit And then I heard laughter. I mean, it was like, pinching little bite, and there was nobody around. We had knowingly rented this house. It had the reputation of being haunted. But of course, my husband was a doctor and the other guy was a doctor, and nobody believed in haunted houses. How silly is that? I knew they were haunted. I knew it was haunted from that point on. But I went into the other room, and of course I was dismissed as a pregnant woman. But yeah.
When you say bite, it was like a pinch, or
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it wasn't just one. It was like, I don't know that it was someone biting, but it was definitely pinching. It was not bugs.
Yeah.
Because it was followed by
You heard a hee hee. Oh God. Oh my God.
So I still remember that road in Spreckelsville. I mean, you know how some things make a picture in your mind, like
Right.
that hotel. You don't forget it.
Yeah.
No, I
It's
remember the room.
Come to think of it, when you think about it, and then when you relate the story, it's quote not proof, but it's testimony. It is a type of proof, but it's not like the science proof. But it's like the best evidence I think we have is the actual ghost stories, and they've been around like 4,000 BC. I think my sister-in-law does costuming for the TV and movies, and she was on Kalapapa. So the Molokai with Father Damien, who's now Saint Devustu, Father Damien and the leper colony on Molokai. Now they were doing a movie, I think, about that. So they were on Kalapapa, and it's they're introduced to people, and they had their little lodgings in these little rooms. So they went there and they put their stuff into the rooms, and then they went out to the common area and had their food or whatever. Well, after they put their stuff in the stuff, it's at night, and there's just rock walls and those little kind of cabins that they had, and they left those rooms and they went down there, and they come back to the rooms and lights are on and doors are open and their stuff is moved around. I mean, like one time they went back and the lights are on. Other times it's like doors are. It's like a lot of things happen and things get moved, and they're really going, Kalapapa's haunted. But when it happens to a person and they're relating their own personal first-hand experience, I think those are the best. And I used to ask people about, do you have a ghost story? And I would basically say, do you have a ghost story? I don't mean a campfire ghost story like Morgan's Corner. Oh, there's Morgan's Corner. Psychopath got loose from Kalapa. But there's personal stories instead of campfire. And people would say, oh yeah, I think I got one. And then people started talking about when their loved one passed away and they were given the last visit bye-bye, and they're in tears, and I stopped asking about that. So, anyways, thanks for question and answer. I think that's about it.
Thank you very much for that very interesting question and answer session.